All right, Seneca the Elder. Nempe, surely the will divine is announced by the mouth of a human, and whom tandem at last? That's a question. So, just who is a priest? Is the divinity able to find more sacred or sacred for themselves? This divinitas, the Loeb translates as a priest. Then M. Cato, through whom he didn't give instructions to the human race, but he made convicium, which is usually an insult or something like that. Actually, now I look at it, the divinitas is the god, and he starts the priest. So what would gods find as a priest more holy? Anyway, what did this man say then? He's an orator. He's vocative. Marcus the Son. Anything with a IUS just becomes I in vocative. A good man, experienced of speaking. 10. Go now. And in istus, in these people, volsus means their hair's been plucked, and hippolytus, soft and smooth. And never you'll find orators except with strong lust, basically strengthen their lust. Deservedly, they have such examples of this quality of character. Who is it who studies for their memory, which will help them in future, apparently? Who is it who, I shall not say for their great strengths, but they're just, so who is it who's become famous, I'm guessing? Not with good strengths of their orations, but they're pleasing for themselves, they please their own people. Okay, the sententias, the thoughts made by the most educated and cleverest man, which are factus, made easily into this such a, again I usually use slothful or something, such a slothfulness of man, they say is their own. So that passing off works by good men, expert men, as if for their own, and thus the best eloquence, or sacred if you really want to focus on the sac bit. They don't desist to violate with the things which they're not able to give of their own. So again, they're just stealing basically what other people do, or what do you call that in English? Copying it. I might have to think about it. Plagiarism is the word. So all the more Libentius, freely or gladly, what you're asking, or asking to push out from me or force from me, I'll do it. And whatever by the most celebrated men which are dicta are said in elegance, I will grasp it in my memory if I can, lest what's pertinent to any of these people will be private. I will dedicate it or remember it so that it's freely available for the people. So things might be private for now. He's going to dig out in his memory and come up with some things for the vulgar people. 11. Ipsis. These very people also I seem to be about to bestow much. This will take the dative. So he's about to do something on behalf of these people, and it's going to be molten a lot. To these people, oblivion is imminent or threatening. That unless something by which I can produce for the memories of them, so this is how he's going to help them. He's going, by producing their works for future, he'll be helping them. He's going to hand these works to posterity. Enim. For ferre usually means almost or nearly. If you read Columella, uses in general for ferre. For generally, they're either extent means still surviving. Of the maximum, which means of the greatest people, there's basically no commentaries of the greatest declamators, the people who make declamations. And what is worse, which is the other ought, so there are either none or there are false ones, fake ones. And so, lest these people become unknown, I guess, in the future, or other than they ought to be known by the fake ones, with the utmost confidence, I will redam. he'll make copies, or he's going to provide trustworthy things to each one. Cooey. Okay. Autem. Now, all of the great names in eloquence, with the exception of Cicero, I seem to have heard. Ne quidem. Not even age, nominative, has ripped away Cicero from me, but it was the furor of the Civil War which made this exception. This furor, which then was roaming around the totem orbum, the whole world, so he was inside of his colony where he lived. He was contained in his there where he lived, apparently, while the Civil War was going on. So the Civil War kept him at home, alioquim. Otherwise, in that little atrium, it's a diminutive, the little hall, in which two praetextos, that's like of a certain age, they're grandes, so they're a little bit older than normal, he said, was declaiming with himself, so there must be some base thing for this. There must be a story where there's two people were debating with him. I would have been able to have been there at this ingenious fellow with Cicero, which alone, here we go, alone the populace Romanus, the Roman people, had par on the same level as its own empire. So the empire was a great thing, and Cicero was a great thing. I would have got to cognoscere, would have known him, and sometimes was commonly said to the common person on the street, but propria means belonging to it. So this would have been his own personal sort of flavour, or whatever you want to say, that was in him. I would have been able to have heard the vivem vocem, the living voice of Cicero. 12. Moreover, Cicero declaimed, and not with the type which now we call controversies, and not even such as the type which before Cicero, which they used, which were called theses. For this type of material, in which now we exercise, to such an extent is it new, adeo ut correlatives, that the name also is new. It's so new, these exercises, also the name's new. We call these controversies. Cicero called them causes. Vero. But this has another name, indeed, a Greek one. But into Latin, thus it's translated, that it's, for this, in Latin it's called scholastica. This is more recent, by much actually, than controversies. Thus itself, declamations were with none of the antique authors before Cicero. And Calvum, you're not able to find these. Calvum, who distinguished declamation from this origin diction, he says to declaim is, he's not mediocre at declaiming, he can speak well. He thinks the other, these two we've been talking about, to be just domestic exercises, so that's where it's come from. And the other one, correlatives, alterum, one he thinks comes from domestic exercise, the other of true actions, of what you'd said, the forum, I suppose. Now this name has come out, it's been produced, for recently it began to be celebrated of the enthusiasm or study itself, of this type of exercise. Yeah, for this reason it is easy for me to know, because the matter, the ram, was natum, born after me, so he's known it from the cradle, or from its cradle maybe. Did I set up any words? Plagiarism, divinitas, the power of divination, but usually the Godhead. That's pretty much the only thing I've set up there. That's it.